Hey everyone, today we'll be covering a topic related to rediscovering dropshipping with our guest Luis Smith. Today's episode is sponsored by Zinc AI, the all-in-one suite for recording, producing, and promoting podcasts. A few words about Luis. He is the founder and CEO of Dropship Unlocked, an e-commerce mentor and author of the Home Turf Advantage. He is currently devoted to helping entrepreneurs achieve freedom at different levels. With over 7 years of experience in the e-commerce industry, he has become a leading expert in dropshipping and business mentorship. He started his career in a corporate 9 to 5 where he gained valuable experience, but he always felt there was something more out there, a way to have more freedom and flexibility in his work. Luis, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. Great intro, and I love the technical setup you have here on this show. It's great doing everything live. Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on the show, Mitko. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, talking about the interface, this is exactly what Zinc offers. Luis, let me start with a simple question related to the founder's story. I'm super curious to learn more about your background and your humble beginnings.
Yeah, of course. So, how far do I go back? I mean, when I guess the moment that I first shifted into entrepreneurship, which I assume is what most listeners to this show will be most interested in, I'd graduated university studying medical microbiology, actually, of all things. So something
Wow.
completely unrelated to what I do now. Um, did that because I was very passionate about there was a biology teacher at my senior school who really made me light up about the subject, and when someone can have that kind of power and make you passionate about a topic, I thought, great, that's what I'm going to study. So I did study that and enjoyed to the degree, and went to work for a big corporate in the medical sector. So in medical devices and diagnostics, I worked in a huge American corporation. I'm sure your audience will all know the name, but it was selling medical devices into hospitals. So my day-to-day job for about 10 years, but probably about eight and a half years actually, was going into operating theatres in hospitals around London, dressed in my scrubs, and being there to help during operations where they were using our equipment. So it was quite kind of high pressure, high stakes, having to train rooms of surgeons and nurses on how to use the devices that they may not be familiar with. Lots of standing up all day during long procedures. And yeah, it was fascinating work. But after a while, I just started to realize that it might not be what I wanted to do long term. And I was commuting up and down the country. I'd moved into kind of like more of a managerial role, so I was doing a lot more of the back office stuff. And I was on these long train journeys. And you know what it's like? Sometimes you just think, you're looking out the window and it's raining in the UK, and I'm going to a job that I'm not that passionate about anymore. And I was just wondering, is this it? Is there not more to life than this? And one day I was walking into a hotel, like this lobby in London, and I was with a colleague at the company I worked with, and we walked past this group of tech guys on their MacBooks, like the cool kids are working on their startups and their hoodies and like very relaxed, drinking their nice flat white coffees and very chilled. And she looked at them, and my colleague turned to me and said, "I've always seen you as someone who could work in a startup. Like, have you ever considered it?" And that question stuck with me because the answer was no, I hadn't. But I thought, why not? Why have I not considered doing that? So that night I went home, and I remember I searched on my phone on Audible how to start a business. And I came across the book, The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And I think that was the moment that the curtain was drawn back, and I saw this secret world on the other side of entrepreneurship that I never knew existed. And I thought, why has nobody told me about this? For all of these years, I've been working in a job, earning money, trading my time for money, when I could have been building a business. And so I listened to that book on repeat. And I just remember one day thinking, right, that's it. We're going to do it. So I convinced my wife, Becky, that my fiance at the time, that it would be a good idea to quit our high-paying, stable jobs with our nice, pensions and the healthcare and the company car and all the nice, stable, safe world of corporate work, and just go and create my own business and use it to move to Thailand and live on the other side of the world, somewhere where we'd only been on holiday, never lived there. And so over the course of the next few months, in evenings and weekends, I built up my first e-commerce business using the drop shipping model. And there were lots of mistakes along the way, which I'm happy to dive into today if it helps any of your listeners avoid those types of mistakes. And we used that business to become digital nomads, I guess. And we moved to live in Thailand, run the businesses from there, got the business to doing about £1 million per year, replaced our incomes. We were able to live in like Mexico, Bali, Vietnam, great places like that. And then fast forward to today, we've kind of come full circle. We've now built a coaching program that I now help other people achieve that same end result of having an e-commerce business, of replacing their salary. I now have a family. I'm living back in the UK now, got 2 children. So life looks very different for me now, but that was that was probably like the moment it all changed. It was walking into that hotel in London and having that comment made by a colleague.
Yeah. Well, that was very inspirational, Luis. And I can't honestly resist dropping, inserting a sentence like this. This story seems like an alternative version of the movie The Pursuit of Happiness. Do you have
Yeah.
any input here?
It's one of my favorite movies. Yeah, probably way before I was even considering becoming an entrepreneur. But yeah, Will Smith, fantastic in that scene where they're in the public restroom at the train station because he has no way of providing shelter for his child. It's like that brings a tear to my eye. That kind of that pursuit from a father of like doing everything he possibly can to provide for his family. I resonate strongly with that. And I think, yeah, like it really hits home when you have children as well. And so now I see myself as like the provider for my children, both in terms of showing them the direction in life, but also providing financially for them as well. So yeah, a big inspiration, that film. And obviously the medical device sales background as well, which is aligned with me.
Yeah, the time machine.
Yeah.
And now you've built a platform that helps other people build their own e-commerce empires. And today you're basically inspiring other people to go on a similar route and overcome the big barrier standing between being an employee and making that transition to becoming an actual business owner. Nice. Fantastic story once again. I have another question that's trying to make a smooth transition here to the actual dropshipping business. I've been doing this about 3.5 or 4 years. So I have that background as well. But one of the things that bothered me a lot was related to outsourcing operations. Doing it myself seemed simple, but outsourcing it to other people was related to training them and relying on their responsibility that they'll get the job done within the certain deadline and things. How you have solved this for yourself, and what advice you're giving to people having to go through all these transitions in their company?
Yeah, it's definitely a pivotal moment in terms of your journey as an entrepreneur. Once you start to realize, I know it's a big blocker for some people if maybe they've never managed people before, they've never managed a team, or they've never hired anybody before. Sometimes there's this barrier, and I think it's a mental barrier to thinking I'm not the kind of business that can manage people. But with sites like Upwork.com now, where you've got access to a pool of incredible talented freelancers, you don't have to commit to paying someone a huge annual salary. You can literally pay them for a project or even pay them per hour of their time, limit that amount of time that you're exposing yourself to paying, and get some incredible leveraged results for your company. So I mean, I've made all the mistakes in the book when trying to outsource. I've hired virtual assistants before for my stores, thinking that everything's running smoothly, and then woken up one day to realize that there's hardly any money left in the business because I wasn't keeping an eye on cash flow. And then suddenly waking up one day in Bali, seemingly in paradise, and realizing both of my virtual assistants had just left on that day and just left me stranded. And I just remember that awful feeling of like everything coming crashing down, thinking my team left, I have no money in the business. Like, what's happened? What's going on? Thinking I'm going to have to go back to my old job and beg for it back. And so I've kind of come out of the other side of that. We now have a team of probably across both businesses, about 10 people full time, with a few more contractors who work like ad hoc hours. And there are some key lessons that I've learned about how to outsource. I think the first thing I'd say, and this is very much aligned with Tim Ferriss's principles, is try to automate and systematize everything you can first before thinking that you need to rely on human output for outsourcing. That's the tempting thing. It's tempting to think, oh, well, I do this task 10 times a day, fulfilling orders on my store. And can I just hire someone to do it? Well, that's fine. But actually, if you could automate that with a piece of software, there's some AI apps now that are just incredibly helpful at stuff like this. Think of what you could then get for your money that you're spending on the human talent coming in to do something that maybe AI can't do yet, like speaking to customers on the phone or dealing with more complex, customer issues or questions. So yeah, I think automate everything you can first and outsource the rest is how the ethos goes. But when it comes to actually outsourcing, standard operating procedures are my favorite approach. We use a project management tool called Asana, which I'm sure many of your listeners are very familiar with. There's pretty much an SOP written in the AI generated captions to the side that you can then just import into a platform like Asana. And then you can pass that SOP over to a team member. And the beauty of having written SOPs is that if anything changes about your process in the future, you just go in, tweak the wording on that step, and then it's there. So we have a library of hundreds of SOPs that all of our team have access to their individual SOPs. And it just means that we can always make sure that the business continues running without me being the one needing to be present or the bottleneck.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a well-polished process to follow. Seeing what I did myself in the past, I didn't have enough time to plan things in advance and predict what's the next step. So I was doing things backwards for a while. And that's probably something that people need to go through at least the first time to realize something
Yeah.
needs to be done in a different way. Talking about mistakes, I would suggest covering a few more mistakes when people run dropshipping businesses a bit later on the open discussion. So to recap, there is already an existing community and a masterclass where people can save a lot of time and avoid some huge mistakes in the space that can often lead to disappointments that big that it can bring them back to the corporate life, basically. I'm also curious to find out more about the masterclass itself and the community. Other listeners will be also curious to learn
Yeah,
more about it. So could
of
you
course.
elaborate? Yeah.
Yeah, so the masterclass, the company that I run now alongside my own e-commerce stores is called Dropship Unlocked, and it's a mentorship program designed to take people from working in a job full time at the moment, like I was, through to having an e-commerce business that replaces their income, allows them financial freedom, location independence that they can run from a laptop with maybe one virtual assistant. And it's a very low maintenance, low stress, income replacing business. So it's very straightforward. We're not one of these companies that's like claiming to make you six figures overnight and make you a millionaire by next month. Like, those are unrealistic things. You'll see the guys on Instagram, all of the gurus with their Lamborghinis and sitting in front of their mansions. Like, that stuff's just not us. Like, that's not what we do. We're helping everyday people like I was in that day-to-day job, in that 9 to 5, make that transition into entrepreneurship. So we have a range of people that we work with in our program. We've got probably over 2,000 people now who we've worked with, where there's a range of people from like tradespeople, carpenters, mechanics, doctors, nurses. We've got teachers. We've got people who work in the government, like former entrepreneurs. There's such a wide range of people that we work with in there. But I should probably explain why what we do is different from what you hear about dropshipping, because it gets a lot of bad press. Dropshipping itself gets quite a lot of bad press, and it's a bit of a taboo topic, right? I'm not saying that doesn't work, because it does. You can make money, but there are so many problems that arise from that model. And the reason I know this is because I did it personally. I experienced firsthand those problems. Waking up, I actually started out my journey selling men's ties. So like the neckties that where I think we'd source them for like $2 or something in China and then mark them up to about $20. And I thought, great, this is going to be the business. But when I made my first few sales, the next morning you'd open up the laptop and see there's like complaint after complaint from customers saying, you know, where's my tracking number? When's my tie going to be delivered? I want to cancel my order. And I was thinking, well, it's on a boat halfway from China to the UK. Like I can't cancel your order. It's already coming and the supplier can't take it back. So there are all these problems associated with the long delivery times, the very low profit margins. You know, if you're only making $15 in profit per sale, it's very hard to make it work at scale because you can't run ads to acquire those products because you're not making enough profit on that first sale. So it's a difficult model. It can work, but it requires deep pockets and there are a lot of customer dissatisfaction issues that come with it. The model we teach, which is the home turf advantage model, involves working with UK-based suppliers if you're living in the UK, and you can apply this model to where you're living. The idea is you work with domestic suppliers in your own region or in the region where your customers are. You sign up official agreements with them. They allow you to list their products on your website. So you set up a retail website, and then you run Google ads, Google shopping ads to those products because customers are already searching for what they want to buy. They find the product, they buy it from you at retail price, and then you buy it from the supplier at trade price with the money the customer's already given you. And it goes straight out to the customer, usually with next day delivery or 1 to 2 day delivery. So because they're high ticket products, these are products upwards of 300, 400. I mean, we've got products from sales that people are making upwards of £7,000-8,000 on a single product that, you know, you might make £3,000 or £4,000 in profit on a sale like that. Well, how many sales do you need to make per month to replace your income if that's how much you're making in profit on a single sale? Probably not that many, maybe one sale every few days. So that's the reason why it works well. We talk people through, or we walk them through how you set up a business, how you register a company, how you set up your business banking, how you pick a niche, how you select which products to sell, how you build your website, how you find and sign suppliers that are willing to do this already. Then once you have those products on your site, we'd show you how to set up the marketing campaigns to bring a constant flow of sales and traffic through to your website. And then even to your point, Mitko, we show you how to outsource and how to take yourself out of the business and hire a virtual assistant, put automations in place so that you can go and live the 4-hour work week if you want to at that point, once you've front loaded the hard work. So that's why people join. It's to replace their income and to get an e-commerce business up and running.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for elaborating. Again, there is a special focus on the UK market, which solves plenty of issues when it comes to delivery and shipping times. That's fascinating indeed. And by the way, here's an extra question I have. Can this work for people outside the UK if they are familiar with how they can form a UK-based company? And also, if they already have some level of e-commerce background and experience with dropshipping, could this help?
Yeah, definitely. So the first point, yes, we have people in Dubai, we have members who are from Canada and from all over Europe who are registering companies in the UK. So they're registering limited companies, which we walk you through how to do. You don't have to live in the UK to do that. And then they are running the business in the UK. I mean, the UK has 67 million people, and the e-commerce market in the UK is growing significantly. I think it's projected to grow another 8% this year. So it's just getting bigger and bigger every year. So absolutely, yes, you can run a business like this in the UK using our model, even if you don't live here. The second part of your question, which was
people could having a former e-commerce
former background.
background and dropshipping experience help, especially if they're from the outside. Maybe this could compensate the fact that they are not based in the UK.
Yeah, definitely helps. I think the people we've seen do best with this and get the results the fastest are the people that come in with a little bit of background in digital marketing or a bit of a
Mhm.
background in e-commerce. I'm not saying you can't make it work if you don't have that. We have people coming in every day, like who are roofers or who are doctors who have no background in this kind of stuff. Receptionists, like people from all different levels. But yes, some people who've come in who do have a background in e-commerce, maybe they've run like an Amazon FBA business in the past, but they're just tired of the constant battle with Amazon, where Amazon owns
Yeah.
your business and like they undercut you, and you've got to pay tens of thousands of dollars in stock every few months, and all of the issues that come with that, the huge cut that Amazon take from every sale. They tend to get results faster because they kind of know the process. I always say try and come in as a blank slate if you can. If you're going to work with this, like get the benefit of actually the mistakes that we've made in the past and the things that we can help, the pitfalls we can help you avoid. But yeah, absolutely, you can hit the ground running if you have experience before, put it that way.
Talking about Upwork, I indeed forgot that there are already thousands of talents with some experience that you can actually hire and introduce to your company without too much of onboarding. Let's cover a few more mistakes you've crossed on. What are some typical mistakes people do when starting
Yeah,
with dropshipping?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is that people come in with preconceived notions or ideas about what they want to buy. So I've done the same, the men's ties. I thought
Mm,
this is going to be a great niche. This is what I'll sell. These are the products. I'm passionate about them, so I'm going to sell them. That for me is always a red flag when I hear that. The fact that you're going to sell it just because you're passionate about it. Some of our best products that we've ever sold, I am definitely not passionate about, but my market are passionate about them. And so I'm a business owner. I get passionate when the sales are coming in and when the process is working and when we're delivering value. So I don't need to actually be passionate about the physical product itself. It might be a predominantly female market and I'm not, but that doesn't mean I can't be passionate about the success of the business. So that's the thing, to kind of disconnect your own need for being passionate about the market. We have a 9-step niche validation system, like different criteria that we put our niche ideas through. And that's actually something I can even share with your listeners at the end of this episode, if that's helpful, Mitko, because I think the question in a lot of people's minds at this stage is probably, okay, great, but what do I sell? What products do I even think about starting with? And we don't want you to go into this just on a hunch or with an idea. We want it to be a data backed decision that is based on existing demand, a good level of competition. We want competition because if there's no competition, there's usually a reason why. It's usually a problematic market. We want to ensure that it's stable throughout the year. We don't just want spikes on like Christmas or Halloween. We want products that are year round. We want products that have a good selection of drop shipping suppliers who will be happy to work with you. So I think to answer your question about mistakes, the biggest mistake people make that can really hinder their success is they pick a niche before having validated it using a system like this 9-step validation criteria system. And then they get to the point where they're trying to run ads or sign suppliers and they're like, why is this not working? And they get frustrated. And it's because of like an earlier foundational step that was missed. So that's one of the things we can help you solve that just with the free resource that I'll give people to download at the end of this episode. In terms of other mistakes, I think thinking that you have to work with suppliers abroad, from China, that then leads to the long delivery times. It leads to import taxes. It leads to things getting stuck at the border with customs and, all kinds of problems. There are so many good companies already in the UK or in the market that you're looking to sell into. They don't have to manufacture the products in the UK, but they just have to be in the UK stocked, because the beauty of the home turf advantage model is that the minute someone orders, the order can go straight to the supplier and then the supplier can ship it straight to the customer with fast delivery. All of our stores are next
Yeah.
day delivery, or maximum a few days. So satisfied customers who then refer people and recommend your store to their friends. They leave a nice positive review. They're happy. It's fewer orders for you to have to deal with as a business owner. And I think all of those things are by design, because if you go and sell cheap widgets, the problems you're going to encounter are unhappy customers, bad reviews, long delivery times. Like, these are the mistakes we try to help people avoid with our step-by-step model. And that's what we outline in the Home Turf Advantage book, and also in the masterclass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the so-called high-ticket items, right?
Exactly.
Nice. Well, two other thoughts in my mind right now. I have one is related to the race to the bottom. You mentioned a high price. There is a competition, but do you have an advice on how to overcome and resist the temptation to lower your prices and instead offer alternative competitive advantages? So you make people choose your store and
Yeah.
not the competitor's store. Yeah.
That's a great point, and I think a lot of your listeners will probably have the same thought. Like, what stops from other people from just undercutting you, and then you can't make any sales? Now, I thought this as well, and I actually fell into this trap of thinking that I need to compete just on reducing my price and having a better discount than anyone else. I did that, and it eroded away my profit margin. So what I did, and this was just experimental, I said, okay, well, what if we don't discount the products? What if we just say, this is the price? It's fair. It's not, we're not the most expensive in the market, but we're not the cheapest budget, low value discount store. That's
Mhm.
not the kind of business I want to run. We just kind of price ourselves fairly, but we add value to that product by stacking it maybe with a bundle of other related accessory products. Or perhaps we could give away like more education around the product, or an ebook, some kind of like digital product that goes with it, some way of increasing the perceived value of that product so that customers buy from you. The other thing to mention is that we're not the cheapest, but we're the most visible. And not every customer is looking to shop around for the cheapest deal. So if we run ads effectively using the method that we go through inside week 5 of our masterclass, which is all around search intent marketing, using things like performance max campaigns, we will appear at the top of the Google search results when someone searches for, if they're searching for home barbecues near me, like gas barbecues, and we sell them. If we're running ads, we'll appear right at the top if we run the ad campaigns correctly. And so when customers see that, often they'll just click it and they'll say, yep, this store looks good. We've got good reviews. We've got the trust badges. We've bundled the product with like a barbecue glove and some tongs and a recipe book. There's like a nice value bundle there. They're not then going to say, oh, no, let me see if I can find another site that's cheaper, that has no reviews, that has, maybe I could get it for £20 cheaper. They're just, not all customers are like that. Of course, you'll lose some, but I'd rather make fewer sales and make much more profit by running the business sustainably than getting engaged in that race to the bottom. The other thing is we work with suppliers who kind of hold their prices as well. So the best suppliers we work with say to their retailers, this is the price range we expect the items to sell in. If someone starts really discounting their pricing, what tends to happen is the supplier eventually just stops working with them, because they'll say, we don't want you to devalue our brand by making it
Exactly.
like this discounted,
Mhm.
cheap brand.
Yeah. The other question I had was related to bank accounts. And there is a particular potential issue related to people having to open a UK bank account if they live abroad. I know there are some recent restrictions.
Yeah, there are ways. There are definitely ways, because we've had members who've done it in our program. I know we have a partnership with Tide Bank, so we have like a deal there
Yeah.
that people can look at. I think it's dropshipunlocked.com/Tide, TIDE, which is a UK bank,
Yeah.
where they'll actually even register your company with you as well as set you up a bank account. I've got to check with them regarding non-UK citizens doing it. But I mean, even so, I'm sure there's ways. There are always ways of doing this. I'm sure in the past we've had
Yeah.
non-UK resident directors set up a limited company, and then with that limited company set up the bank account in the UK, and then once you have your account number and your sort code, you can link that up to Shopify. You can start taking orders. You can pay for your Google Ads, and the whole business can kind of operate. You're not using your personal money; it's using the company money.
So this is where the power of community unlocks, and people who have done it before might come up with some valuable advice.
You're exactly right. The community is the place to ask for that. I know that I've seen people use services like Payoneer in the past, and like Stripe Atlas and things like that for kind of regions where Stripe payments isn't integrated already or isn't available. But in terms of UK bank accounts for non-UK residents, I'd need to look into that one. And yeah, the exact place I would go to ask that is just inside our community and say, can anyone help with this? And that's you'd get 2,000 people immediately, a few of which would be able to help you who've been through that journey. That's one of the benefits, I think, isn't it? It's the avoiding the expensive mistakes and the time-consuming, frustrating headaches of trying to figure this stuff out yourself when you just have a community of people at your disposal to ask.
Right. Well, thank you. You mentioned something related to helping people avoid some product sourcing mistakes. Could you now elaborate more and maybe mention that page you are talking about?
Yeah, so I was thinking that what's the most valuable resource that I can provide to listeners of your show? And I think the first thing is probably like how to pick a product to sell, how to select a niche. So I've put our niche navigator worksheet onto a custom special page for your listeners. But I've also then put some Shopify done for you templates together as well that will help people just get the right pages up and running for one of these stores very quickly. All of the the policy pages, the things that they just need, the boring stuff really that they just need to get their store off the ground. I've then put together a next day dropship blueprint, which kind of guides you through the process of how this works and how this model is so different to the traditional model of dropshipping. And then my book, The Home Turf Advantage, I've created like a Home Turf Advantage walkthrough PDF that just kind of gives you the bullet points and the sections that you need to know to get one of these businesses off the ground. So yeah, I've made that available at dropshipunlocked.com/PAM PUM, PAMPUM.
Yes. Dropshipunlocked.com/pampum. What's a current goal of yours you're currently chasing?
The phase of my life that I'm in now, where I have two children, one who's 1 and one who's 3. And we're living back in the UK now, and I have a family to support, and I just want to be present in those early years before they go to school. So for me, a personal goal is to reap the rewards of this type of business model, that when I was sitting on that grey office room, or if I was on that train in rainy the UK going up to the north of the country on some work trip, and I was dreaming of a life where in the future I could be present as a dad with my family. Right now I'm in that moment. So I need to remind myself to be present. I'd like to take my kids to nursery, go and pick them up, play with them when I can, go out to the park, play football, go to date night with my wife, like make the most of the freedom that I have through running e-commerce businesses like this. Obviously, I love speaking with our members and coaching our members as well within Dropship Unlocked. But I think that's kind of my other passion. It's like being present for my family and then helping other people get to the point where they can do the same. Whether for them it's moving to Thailand or moving to Bali, or if it's also just being present or helping their parents retire or buying their dream house, whatever the thing is for them, their goal, if I can help them do that through Dropship Unlocked, like we were able to do and replace my income, that for me is a big goal. So we're rolling out live meetups every quarter now for our Dropship Unlocked members, where we come together in person, we hire a venue, we get together, we network, we build those in-person connections and bonds. And for me, that's one of the most exciting steps in becoming a best-in-class e-commerce mentorship program in the UK. So hopefully we're well on our way to doing that. And for me, it's just finding that balance between work life and family life.
Awesome. Well, I attended some e-commerce barbecues in the past here in Bulgaria. I can still recall some great experiences there, and people talking about product sourcing all the time and stuff like that. At that time, I was already outside the dropshipping business, and I was much more relaxed there. Thanks for elaborating on the resource, and great to know that you're actually growing a real community and you give a chance for people to meet in person with each other and exchange some practices and get to know each other. It was pleasure covering all these with you, Luis, and I feel that we should do a second part in maybe in 6+ months. Because I feel I have more questions, and it would be worth maybe listeners will have more questions once they go through this. So
Definitely. Yeah,
I'd love to.
if your listeners have questions and they'd like to ask, then more than happy to jump on and do a part two. And I just want to say as well, Miko, I love what you're doing with the Pam Pam experience, and thank you for being a great host. You made it very easy to chat to, and your software setup is very professional as well. So yeah, really enjoyed this conversation today, and let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again. Keep rocking on, and all the best, Luis. Thanks.
Speak to you soon.